let me hear from Jimmy. Go ahead.
Let me tell you. And I pity with Kamau because it is extremely a difficult job to try and defend the government in such a time. Because the government is totally naked. The kind of actions they are really embarking on, they are quite embarrassing. And I totally feel him. I totally feel him where he's coming from because he doesn't know exactly now what do I say about these issues and all that. Because
it's a confused thing.
You can see. Kagoni. No, that one you have to retreat. No. That one you have to because. How does Kagoni know?
Have a right to reply.
When I was talking, JJ.
Because the contradiction.
Why would you pick a statement? Now you have that you see. Kagoni has to withdraw that statement.
The contradiction that you see with the Kamau now is exactly the contradiction that are actually depicted by the government in such a time. At one moment, there is a DCI who is pushing people to arrest them at 3 a.m. Then the following day, after traveling 100 kilometers from Kitengela, and you take somebody to Mumias, then the following day, another agency of the same government is actually withdrawing the same charges.
Exactly.
So then you give now Kamau the difficult job to try and explain to us exactly what was going on. So I totally feel for him. I mean, they should even increase his salary, I guess, and his stipend for that purpose to try and see what.
All right. Before you come in, because it's only fair that we give him a right of reply because Jimmy Kagoni has mentioned him. Go ahead, come on.
I'm not going to answer Kagoni.
Okay, fantastic.
No. Let me say. No, don't cut me.
No,
You've given me a chance.
Respond.
But you
go ahead.
And I put a full stop. What I'm trying to say, Kagoni, be proud of who you are. If this country burns, it will burn for all of us. What the government knows about us, all of us. There are things we do that we don't tell others. There are things we are planning, we don't tell others. And what I'm trying to say, I'm not defending government just like that. I have information on what I'm saying. Don't ask me from where.
Where is it
because from? Kagoni, by you chancing to say, you pity me, I wonder where you come from. Actually, yesterday when they were being arrested, I didn't knock on your door to ask you what is going to happen. But my confidence is the government. This is not the first time that people are being harassed.
Let me tell you, so that for the purposes of clarity, we cannot have a show based on ambiguity. Exactly. You cannot claim to have information that you're not telling us from where.
Yes.
Where do you have this information from?
I don't need to tell you.
Okay, if you don't need
to tell you.
Maybe you should go slow then on the pretense that you have information. Let me hear you.
You see how difficult it is.
Okay.
For Kamau to just answer that simple question. It's just have to take us around, cycling around the same answer. You have the information, Kamau. Let me tell you the fact, right? What you saw yesterday in the Senate is a frustrated government. You get the point? First of all, the leadership in the Senate have totally failed. I was surprised. The only point of order that the majority leader Mr. Pogisio is starting is to say, you know what, the Senator Fran is not wearing a mask. The majority leader, you get the point.
To be fair to him, there were many points of orders. He also rose on several others. Maybe that's what he only has, but it's okay.
Which is around.
Which is still around. And it's all about a point of order and leadership.
But you see, what I'm saying is, the government have totally failed. That's the first thing.
Okay.
And I was surprised, and from yesterday I concluded and I said, if the same Senate, if the BBI go through the same Senate, it's going to fail. Because one thing, from where I sit, and what Kamau is trying to say, that there is Murkomen, the Rex of Murkomen, Mutula Kilonzo Jr., they're not inciting us. Personally, I saw it as a generational war. You get the point? These are young senators, and they're saying, you know what?
And Irungu Kangata is not young?
Yes, but he's not in that rig. He is brainwashed. He just think he's trying to come out to defend the government, which he knows that he has failed.
Right.
So these young senators, they're looking at, you know what? We need a better Kenya. We need a united nation, not the old one or tribal, whatever. They're sticking to united nation. That's why I say I remember listening to Adama last night, and he said this, that it's point that you come to the conclusion. That's a committee that was set aside to try and solve the formula or whatever. He said this, we need to come back to the senses that it's not about losing and gaining. Let's get to the middle ground. You're gonna lose, you're gonna win, right? But can we have something that a formula whereby you don't gain so much and I lose so much? Right. So we look for a middle ground.
And we're going to talk about the 12-member committee that was formed after the deliberations. But I want still to take this back to Kamau Kamau, who appears to have the benefit of history on his side. And does this remind you what you saw yesterday, even if you're defending the government position on what it did? Does it remind you of a chapter we had closed, a chapter we used to have, and it's no longer there?
Which chapter?
What you saw yesterday?
There was nothing amazing yesterday. It was a normal day.
It didn't remind you of anything.
It is a normal day like any other. How many young people are being arrested right now this in the news? Let me tell you, being young is not all that fun as Maina and Kagoni would try to say. Being young, or what we call being young, is actually a trouble, because you only reason with all that you want, not considering what the other person, your rights, or where it starts and where it ends. Young people want to have their cake and eat it. Why do I say so?
Who are you referring to?
I am referring to Mutula Kilonzo Jr.,
Okay.
Murkomen, Malala. In the team, they are calling the Magna Sakaja and stuff. Let me tell you, down the line in 10 years, these young senators, they will regret why they fought the government of the day. Because some of them, and I'd pick the example of Sakaja. Sakaja was picked up by President Uhuru Kenyatta and nominated to the Senate, to the parliament,
Assembly.
and was made the chair of the TNA party. And he was given that vote courtesy of Mount Kenya region.
Which vote?
Which vote of being nominated as MP in parliament. Now, when he was nominated for the 5
You need
years,
votes to be nominated.
sorry,
You need votes.
someone
to be
needs
nominated.
to propose you. That's a vote. Okay.
Okay.
When he was put there, not one single day did he take even a trip to Kiambu, Murang'a, Kirinyaga, ask them about coffee, ask them about tea, ask them about the milk. He stayed there all along. When we were doing Mathare by-election, that was ODM and TNA, and he was the chair of the TNA. He brushed off the TNA side. That is how ODM won. Come to 2017, Sakaja was given the vote by Kikuyus generally from Mount Kenya to be the senator.
Let's not make such points here.
No, let me finish my point. Give me a chance. Don't
Just say-
interact.
just
Don't
say the
interject.
region.
Now that region.
No, as I give you the permission.
Region
Wait a
gave
minute.
him the vote.
As I give you the permission.
Yes.
Be careful about some of the donations you're using. Don't
Okay.
say Kikuyus gave him votes.
No, I let me tell you.
Alright.
Let me tell you, JJ.
Okay.
I'm a problem
with
If
that.
I'm thinking about
But be
Kenya,
careful
let me tell
about your
you.
language.
No.
Be sensitive about
No.
your language.
Am I not a Kikuyu?
You be sensitive about
No,
your language.
am I not a Kikuyu?
Go ahead.
I am a Kikuyu, what? And I'm a Kenyan. First, from my clan, then I'm a Kikuyu, and I'm a Kenyan. You cannot remove me from
That
there.
will operate to government. Make a
Now,
point.
when I get to engage you or any other person, I will engage you as a Kikuyu. And I don't mind about that. I don't mind what tribe
Kikuyus
you are.
voted for Sakaja.
Kikuyu voted for Sakaja. Now Sakaja has said this majority of Nairobians who are doing their small business don't need money because I'm being paid somewhere else. And I want to ask you, did you know why Sakaja exited the COVID-19 committee, ad hoc committee, or do you know why?
It's in public domain. He flouted the COVID-19.
Not the
by being drunk.
not that one.
yes.
Wait for the information that is going to follow on what they are doing and what they've been doing, calling themselves Team Kenya.
That's why he... Come out, please. Jimmy Kagoni, very quickly, because now we're going to get into deep holes that, and this information you're giving us ambiguous. Oh, we know he resigned in front of a police station for flouting the COVID-19 rules. Now you're telling us you have private information and you're not telling us what it is. Anyway, still fine. Let me get to you, Jimmy Kagoni. And it's a question that I asked Kamau. What we saw yesterday, and the fear that this is actually a clawback on the gains we have made through the 2010 Constitution. This is actually a reverse gear to where we have come from.
Let me say this, and I think we need to really separate issues here so that we don't really mix issues. We have a very solid debate that is going on about the revenue sharing formula. And there are proposals that have been brought on the table, which I feel some of them actually need to be discussed. And people have brought up their opinions. Others feel like the amendment should not even be listened, or they are really going to be quite unfair to the regions. There is that part. Then there is what the government operatives are trying to do to ensure that this government bill goes through, which is where I started, and I said that the government operatives actually need to understand that some of their actions cost politically cost the government more than what they're actually trying to do. But let me also come back and say something, because and I feel like this is where Kamau is coming from. We also have a generation of readers, so to speak, and I think that is what we have witnessed in the Senate recently. We also have a generation of readers who just become hardliners for the sake of becoming hardliners to serve their party. Let me tell you, there are people that I know who are extremely genuine when it comes to exactly why they are supporting what they are supporting. But sorry to say this, my friend Cleopas Malala, the only reason why he is supporting the side he is supporting is simply because his party is supporting that side. Okay. It's not because it's even objective or it's even going to serve the people of Kakamega. If anything, by the way, Kakamega is the second county that is meant to benefit from this so much, so to speak. The only reason why he is doing so is because he wants that direct nomination when he is running for governor in 2022.
Cleopas Malala is an ANC senator.
Yes. Let me tell you, he's looking for that ticket directly by in 2022. And we got to be very careful so that we separate issues and all that, so that when we are also defending some of these figures, we also know exactly where they are coming from. I mean, I would understand where somebody like Sakaja is coming from, so to speak, because Nairobi is meant to lose money. So definitely for him, it's more of this is quite unfair.
Initially it was gaining.
Then the amendment brought, that kind of thing and all that. And we also have a generation of leaders. I mean, when I see somebody like Murkomen so fired up in the Senate, almost crying and sweating and all that, I know it's not because he loves this country. I know what he is doing is not because he loves this country. He is trying to make a point that one is a devil, and I told you he's a devil, and now you can see he's a devil. He wants to really mix all his personal issues with the debate that is really going on. It's not because he loves this country. We got to understand, we got to really separate exactly who is defending the government or opposing the government on basis of rationale and logic discussions in regard to what is going on. So that as young people of this country, we also don't really get lost in the bandwagon of just supporting this side and supporting this side when we actually not really understanding the debate that is going on. The point of the matter is that we have a very solid discussion that is going on. We can be able, and I think we need to tell the readers this, we can tell who is supporting what for what, and we can tell who is sincere in why they are supporting what they are supporting. And it doesn't matter whether I am comfortable with your ideology. As far as you are sincere, I'm ready to support you for purposes of being sincere, not just for purposes of being a sycophant.
Okay. You have not answered my question.
JJ.
Wait a minute. You have not answered my question.
No, he has answered
That's a very
everything.
specific question.
Yes, you had asked whether, okay, and I was just playing the background. You had asked whether we are really now retreating to those dark chapters of the government when you could be arrested from where and all that. Of course, definitely, we appear like we actually retreated back to go to those sites, which should not even be encouraged and should be condemned and all that. But however, and the word is however, we grew up knowing a reader to be a honorable member, somebody who deserves respect from the community. When you see also readers have come to a point they can be harassed and can be frustrated by the government, up to what we are seeing now is because they have also taken themselves there. We grew up knowing a leader as somebody who commands respect and somebody who can inspire young generations. I wonder how many, and I think this is a challenge, is a positive challenge even to the leaders today. I wonder how many, in the way they conduct themselves, how many today can actually inspire that confidence in the young people to say that I want you to be like me.
Okay. All right. And you make a very fair point. When Murkomen says, when I used to be majority leader, he appeared like he was actually casting aspersions on the decisions and the judgment of President Uhuru Kenyatta in settling for Samuel Pogisio and Irungu Kang'ata as the leaders of the House. In fact, he mentioned several were banging the table that, Mr. Speaker, don't sacrifice me don't sacrifice Kenya like you sacrificed Susan Keheka and I. And sometimes when you look at it, this just looked like a supremacy contest. It had nothing to do with the third basis formula.
Exactly. It was about egos. Okay. Right? And I would agree with my friend Kagoni, as you have said. Our Constitution, chapter 2010, envisioned a situation whereby executive the judiciary and judiciary would be dependent, and they would make their decisions independently. But very unfortunate, if you look at the situation happening in the Senate today, it just tells you there is another hand. There's other forces controlling the Senate. It was not about the formula. It was not about the money to the counties.
Yes.
It's more about that. And I would agree with the analysis of Kagoni that when you see Senator Marara defending that formula or taking that hard line to ensure that the formula does not go through, he have seen already that come 2022, if I go this route, then I stand a chance, right? And it's the same case when it comes to the rights of Sakaja, the rights of Murkomen. They know, and they're looking for a situation whereby if so and so becomes the president, then I stand to benefit, right? And that's why we rose it, because the purpose of the Senate was to ensure that the interests of the counties is catered for. But as we are talking today, the counties are suffering. There's no money, they can't agree to pass the formula, and who suffers is our JICO. So I think they are losing the game. The Senate is losing the mandate, and I think it's the high time they wake up and become the honorable members they should be.
In a bit, we'll talk about the 12-member committee. But Kamau, there are those who say this was payback time for the Senate, because Kenyans have asked you to remove your clause, become an independent parliament, become an independent assembly, but you have refused. Now, this time, the people you've been obeying are working against you. And I'm talking about the likes of Cleopas Malala, people who've really been defending government so hard in the Senate. We have asked that they be independent. They have refused. When they try to be independent, of course, the forces are still trying to control them.
Thank you, JJ. Again, before even I answer your point, I want to applaud Kagoni's sentiment and say even if this show was to end today, Kagoni has just crowned it and put it into perspective that any logic Kenyans would want to. And in defense, he has told the young people, don't look at these people and think that they are your heroes. They are people who are extending and expanding their agendas, which will affect you in one way or the other, and they'll tell you go ban, so that a guy can be a governor, or he can be a senator, or he can be famous. Now, to your point, going to legislature, executive and judiciary, they are all dependent, because the Senate now, every time they adjourn,
They're dependent or independent? Independent.
And but they are not all dependent, because each one of the arm of the government needs the other to operate. So they have to have a collective
Mutual relationship
and collective responsibility. Now, the Senate, anytime they adjourn, because they are in recess, anytime they sit, they will make noise and they'll go home with money. They sign the form. So if they are in the 11th, they're going to the 11th time, they'll come to the Senate, make noise, not give money to the counties, and each one of the senator will go home with some money in his pocket. Number two, there is a way the government can allocate 50% of the agreed amount to the counties. So we just shelf this story of formula for now, so that this country may not ban, because me, I don't want it to ban, or them may, the senators.
You're saying we can shelve this debate?
They do it. It started by being the Mount Kenya versus others. Now it has been extended to this Team Kenya, who want to seem to know everything.
Answer my question.
Yes.
Is the Senate getting payback for refusing to be independent?
Come again, phrase it.
Is the Senate getting a payback for their refusal to be an independent house of making laws?
Independent from who? They are elected.
Let me help and come on.
Don't help me. My point is this: every arm of the government is independent. So whatever Senate want to advance, let them do it without enjoining another arm of the government. They do their mandate, they finish their day and go home, or they are taken back.
Jimmy Kagoni, is the Senate getting a payback for refusing to be independent?
Oh, yes. With the double interest.
Yes.
With the double interest. Let me tell you, JJ. You see, this is what happens. Just the other day, they were just divided and shouting at each other and all that. Remember, this is where it started. It started when Orengo was telling them, we could be on this side now, but time is coming when you'll be on this side.
Yes.
It went ahead and now they're on that side, and these other guys came on these other benches. Now, as it is, as if everybody is on the floor. Let me tell you, and this is what specifically the parliament must understand the purpose and how they, when I hear them speaking about strengthening institutions, they are the first ones that need actually to practice that gospel.
Okay.
Do you know that most of the members of parliament, most of the time they spend in the offices of the PSs and the CSs trying to beg for this on the other, when they are actually supposed to literally make it a honorable house where they only make statements, discussions, represent people there, and those kind of things.
Yes.
The challenge, what we are seeing, and what they have done is that they have been succeeding their ground bit by bit, until now where they are. So the parliament is controlled by the executive.
Okay.
How did this happen? Because of their gluttonous nature. So they give themselves now to the executive, and they have no control. As it is, they have no control of what they are even trying to fight. By the way, I don't know how many people and Kenyans maybe and our viewers actually understand that what Petronila Were was proposing, to take the billions from 316 to 348 would actually solve
It would have solved every problem, yes.
Because at that time nobody loses money, everybody retains what they had, and those ones who are even asking, please consider our population, they get everything they need. And they can do that on the floor of the house. I totally believe that they can be able to agree on that formula so easily. The challenge is, by the virtue that you're actually a stooge or somebody else who is outside parliament, then you have no choice. So when you see Murkomen, when you see the Nandi senator and those ones speaking, you know very well that they are not speaking on their own behalf. When you see my friend Mutura Kironzo Jr., when you see Akina Cleopas Marala speaking, you know very well that they are not speaking for themselves. So you have people who are outside the parliament who are actually speaking through these two. So at what point do they even ever agree? Because you're actually trying to impress your master. So I want to agree with you, and the answer is yes.
It's payback time.
It's payback time for Senate. They will remain frustrated until they realize that they need to get their freedom back.
One would actually cite, although these are, by the way, Maina Kamunya, the controversial decision about Governor Anne Waiguru and her impeachment in the Senate. Actually, the Senate was led by Senator Cleopas Malala. Exactly. And there have been allegations that there were calls that were made as regards to what decision they ought to take in terms of removing culpability on the governor. And the others were saying, Senator, when we told you to look at this case objectively, your team refused, and now look at where you are.
Okay, thank you, JJ. And before that, let me, for the benefit of our viewers,
yes,
let me make them understand that the various proposal was very good and very correct, but it cannot be implemented because the budget making process is already over.
Okay.
So
you're talking about the Were
proposal about the revenue for
the 316 billion already has been decided in the budget.
So
okay.
The budget is done.
Yes.
It cannot be implemented maybe until the other financial year. Coming to your question, I would say that the episode is not yet over. The Senate will continue to suffer. The Senate will continue to be frustrated. Because one thing they did, they allowed themselves to be puppets, right? So they are controlled from outside for political gains. If you look at the situation of Waitito and that one of Waiguru, you clearly understand that this is not an independent house. And the highest time I think the Senate must wake up. And they must come back to their senses and reflect back on history. The reason why the first Senate on Majibu was dismantled by President Kenyatta, the first president of the Republic of Kenya, is because they had no clear role that they could say we are doing this, right? Come to 2010 Constitution, they were mandated specifically to ensure that the interests of the counties come first. But what is happening today? So even if it is dismantled today and we form a committee to say that maybe it's an extension of the National Assembly, but to focus on it to the counties, it will serve a better interest than the current Senate.
All right. All right. Kamau, if I heard you correct, you said that it's time to shelve this debate. After all, senators, governors can still access 50% of the resources allocated to counties before there's an agreement on this. But we saw yesterday, an attempt to build consensus by creating that 12-member committee that will go now and, thrash the issues and perhaps come up with something better that would actually assuage even the anger we saw yesterday in the Senate. Do you still insist on the shelving of the conversation?
What I would suggest is that if there is a way the government can give some money, because when you look at the county, there are people who have not been paid salaries. There are health workers who are dealing with the COVID-19 issues. We have other operations in the county, right? So it is a way that the government can give money to the counties, and then maybe 50%. Then they go discuss out off the camera, because the issue here is money, and there are people who want to extend their interest.
Yes.
We have agents of confusion in this thing, so when they are off the camera, no one will ever know that what so and so said on this particular issue. So instead of bragging over the camera and saying this and that over some other things, let the government give money to the counties as agreed, and then they go for a retreat. We don't want to hear what they're saying.
Can I cut you short for a minute so that we take a breather? When you come back, you still hold on that point about them going for a retreat and something like that. So don't go too far. Hold your thoughts, because again, Kagoni, I want Kagoni to tell us the Petronila Were formula that has been pointed out by Aina Kamunya could be obsolete. Does it need a delay? Is it maybe the silver bullet to ending the conflict we saw yesterday? Don't go too far. We're coming back. You're watching Taifa Dialogue. Don't go too far. We're coming back in a few minutes. And we are back. Let me just read a few comments coming in from the conversation we're having. I have Wambugu Murugu, who says, I agree with Kamau. No one is arrested for following the law of the land. Maina Ndegwa, on the part of youthfulness, Kamau has a point. The energy with Mutula, Murkomen, and Sakaja is misplaced. And John Kihori says, somebody should bring Kamau back to order. Totally out of order. Hey, all the senators are not being arrested, by the way. Kagoni making a lot of sense. His argument on party positions is quite clear. James Nganga says JJ Kamau has a high appetite for controversial statements. He's an Atwoli character, which I'm persuaded to agree, maybe. Rebecca Louise, Team Taifa Dialogue, we are listening, and thank you very much. There's also somebody who says Murkomen is just power hungry. Andika Kunyani says Kenyan leaders need to think how to create wealth, or thinking on how to share revenue. Kenya must fight corruption in the head of leaders. Oh yes, and the comments are as many as they can be. Although this final one, Senate needs to redeem itself if it wishes to be the upper house, and generally there's been consensus on that on this floor. So before we took a break, Kamau, and I want to still return this to you for the purposes of fairness. You're saying they need to the senators need to go for a retreat, all of them.
Yes, JJ.
Okay.
By that I say, actually they started talking about that thing like 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And when they do so, let them do it with where there are no cameras.
Okay.
Let them go, like you say, from the listener or the comment you've read to us.
Yes.
Let them redeem themselves. We've got a lot of work to do with this country,
Yes.
not even listening to them every other time or following on how they are not agreeing. Because we also need to see their maturity where we cannot see. Because what we saw yesterday, the way Murkomen was lamenting in the front of the whole world, that is not a stature of a leader.
Okay.
He needed to just calm down, not talk of what, and that's why Senator Orengo told him, man, you can lament here the whole year or the whole of your life, but that won't move this country forward.
Okay.
So on that, let them go for a retreat. Let the government give the counties money, just to mind.
To be clear, you're saying this 12-member committee formed yesterday, you don't think it will have a solution?
Let the Senate wholesomely. Because yesterday they did
The entire, you want
Wait.
the entire Senate?
Our discussion started with the 3 senators who are running up and down at night doing funny things that they can't vote. Let them go to a hotel, all of them, all senators, vote for the formula that they will agree.
Okay.
But give 50% to the counties so that even other people can have their lives, not to be stopped by 47 senators. Yes.
Jimmy Kagoni, before I engage you on the 12-member committee, there appeared to have had some consensus when Senator Were brought her formula and tabled it in the plenary, and there appeared to have quite a round of support. I don't know whether these other disagreements came from, but the big challenge now, as regards the increase of money, is that even the increase of resources going to counties is something we want to anchor in a referendum. It cannot even be agreed between the governors and the council that is led by the deputy president, IBEC.
Yeah. I mean, you can imagine if you have a senator like Kamau,
Yes.
representing one county, and he is there to defend what he's supposed to defend. In the same manner, in the same aspect, school of thought, everything and all that. You can imagine, at what point do you really even agree?
You can't.
At what point do you even really agree? And actually him, the pastor among the others, compared to the people who are actually now proposing the revenue formula and what is happening. I mean, Petronila Were brought a very, very, I think it was a very noble idea. The formula that she was actually proposing, because all she was saying is we have 316, which is not enough and sufficient for all of us. So why don't we make them 348 so that the balance what we are having, then at least everybody gets something out of it. And let me say this, so that maybe Kamau can actually take this message to where it's supposed to be.
There's a place he accesses, you can't?
Possibly, we suspect so. Suspect so.
Right.
His lifestyle has been changing of late. A lot. I mean, you don't move houses the way he is doing. So you got to tell us exactly how you are managing to do this kind of things when we are having COVID.
All right.
But the point is, and this is what I'm trying to say, you have billions that are being wasted away during this COVID season.
Yes.
And you're even wondering why do you want to retain that kind of money at the national level when actually the counties are actually suffering. However, the same story need to be asked of the counties. what do you exactly do with the money that we give you?
Yes.
Because you cannot really exonerate them from this. I mean, they have also wasted quite a lot of resources. We have seen so. I mean, we have seen the way they also do their things. This is a question that they actually need to be posed. By the way, if this country is looking for any revolution, the revolution we require is an economic revolution.
Okay.
The way we handle public funds and public finances in this country, literally, need to be dealt with, because it's now becoming quite something. I mean, the appetite. I was totally fearing for Mutahi Kagwe. I was totally fearing for him. If these are the kind of cartels that he deals with every day, how do you even get the energy to deal with the numbers, whether they are rising, or how do you even get the energies even to flatten the curve? When every day you are haunted by cartels, right, left, and center, people who are stealing from KEMSA to sell back to KEMSA. I mean, this is quite serious. This is quite serious. So coming back to what you had asked, it is true that I think at some point I thought we are going to get into a consensus from what Petronella Were had proposed.
But the challenge is the budget has already been allocated. It's 316 billion.
Yeah.
Yes, it has been allocated. But let me tell you, there is nothing that is cast on stones, so to speak. We still even have an opportunity to do supplementary budget. This can actually be redone. That money has not even gone anywhere. Whatever money that we are seeing, that the budget has already been done.
It is possible to
however, you got to understand, and I listened to Orengo yesterday saying that this committee has no cara, has no whatever, which I don't think it's even a very independent committee, so to speak. First of all, because guys are also looking for political mileage through those committees. People are looking for political mileage through those committees. I mean, don't think that they wouldn't have really agreed elsewhere, like by sides and all that. But Sakaja knows that he gonna tell people, I'm the one who unlocked this thing. I'm the one who unlocked this thing that was so hard, so difficult, and you remember the chaos that were there and the disagreements. I'm the one who unlocked these things and all that. Maybe he needs to understand, my brother Sakaja and the others, maybe they need to understand that the moment you put the interest of the population first, the moment you put the interest of the public first, then that is the beginning of becoming independent in your work as a parliamentarian.
Sure.
Any other time that you are putting the interest, your own interest, or the interest of somebody else who is not seen, or even a shadow behind you, let me tell you, you will lose it.
All right. Let me escalate this a little bit, because last week, I think last week, actually the seventh fail, there was an adjournment that actually sought for consensus, that they were saying, okay, let's adjourn debate now. Let's go get consensus. And there was an agreement amongst them that they were going to get consensus. When they come back, everybody is pulling in their own directions after asking for time to have consensus. What guarantee do we then have that by the next week's sittings, this 12-member committee will have come up with a formula that will bring consensus in the same house?
But thank you. Maybe we need to understand first of all,
Yes.
what is the need for consensus? So it was a time given for the Senate leaders, especially the not Murkomen, Kangate and Pogisio, to go convince the other members from the other side. You know what, join this side for this and this and this. But what did it happen? So you prepare a dinner, you prepare a lunch or a meeting with the same guys you're on the same side with. So you had no value to the meeting. That's what happened. So I think
you are talking about the meeting that was flowing of soup?
Yes, you see. So that's what happened. So I think the Senate leadership, especially from the Jubilee side, they are lacking that charisma. You get the point? They don't have the convincing power. Go talk to an opponent, convince him to come the other side. So that was the first thing they failed. Second, I totally disagree or think that even this committee 12 members, they won't agree.
You don't think they will agree?
I'm suspecting they won't agree. Because one, these guys are massaging someone's ego somewhere, right? And nobody wants this formula to go through. The second thing, maybe for the benefit of our viewers, I want to tell them this. I think both of the sides, they are right. Both those who are talking about population to be considered first, they are right. Those who are saying they are the marginalized regions need to be considered, they are right. Right? Because those guys need development, because they are marginalized for quite some time. Come to the populous counties, they need hospitals, they need schools, they need bursaries. They are also right. But maybe at what point do we come and say, you know what, this should be our middle ground, right? And to me, when I listened to Kangata, I think last night, and Mwaura, there's something I sensed. This formula is beyond the Senate. The one man, one vote, one sharing is more than we can see in the Senate. Okay. Because I came to realize, after doing my own research, if these formulas go through, it means come 2022, because they are preparing a way for the BBI, right? So if BBI comes and goes through, it means as a region we will benefit because of the proportional representation in the parliament. So where we say by one man, one vote, one sharing. So it would mean maybe like somebody like Kangata, in Muranga in the Senate, maybe you'd be having 2 votes today as we are speaking. So you have 2 votes, the formula will already through. You get the point, eh? So it's more than we see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we wind up on this one, because there are others who've actually said maybe this is a bigger agenda other than the proportional representation bit. Maybe it's a bigger political agenda to galvanize support back for the president, who's been said to be facing rebellion in his own backyard. And this was actually the silver bullet to galvanize back support for the president through the mantra, 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote.
Again, I have to go back to Kagoni. Kagoni has been observing me for quite some time. Maybe
I hope we don't dwell there because he was making it
actually I'm making my point.
Yes.
It's a by the way statement, and I hope you are actually winding up on this revenue issue.
Yes,
because we've discussed it like now going for a whole month, and it's not making a lot of sense. Number 2,
until when I will give you the mandate to decide what we discuss.
yes,
Anyway, go ahead.
So now on the presidency, can we just put it aside and say those people who are in the Senate who represent other parties or other forces who want to rule us 2022, we saw them yesterday. And I'll pick his name is who? Kithure Kindiki and Murkomen. If you listened to those 2 guys, what they said, they really wish that this country burns down so that their choice of who to rule us in 2022 can come. And I will take is it Kithure Kindiki, Senator for Tharaka Nithi said. He said he actually put Uhuru Kenyatta, because you've talked about the presidency. He actually put President Uhuru Kenyatta and compared him with the guy of Mene something. Now remind him this one thing. They've been championing William Ruto and his stance, saying that whatever, and calling just 1 minute. It's my time.
Yes, okay.
David, and they have been comparing him with the David, and the David is the one who was proposed to be the king. He became the king, and how he died at the final days. And in between,
how is David coming into this story?
I'm coming because Kina Kindiki and Kina Murkomen, they've been championing Uhuru. What do you call this guy?
The deputy president.
What is his name? William Ruto.
Must you drag Ruto here?
No, let me finish.
Let him make his
We
point.
know Murkomen and Kindiki are agents of confusion in the Senate.
Okay.
And their champion is William Ruto. So what they were doing yesterday, they were trying to confuse the Senate. That's why I'm saying we do away with this debate completely. And if they want in, they go and do it elsewhere.
Do you have a problem with Senator Kabaka of Machakos, who said actually funds should stop being sent to Kiambu? Kiambu is already developed. Is he a William Ruto protege?
Yeah.
Okay. On this issue of revenue, I think we agreed here
It
that
is William
should
Ruto on
not,
one side.
No. We agreed that it should not touch our region where I come from, because when you touch my Mount Kenya where I come from, I'm going to react.
You have
Number
a
2,
funny-
let me finish.
Hold on a minute.
Just a
Hold on a
minute.
minute, come on, because you have a funny way of taking me astray.
Yes.
Answer my question.
Which one?
I asked you a very direct question.
Yes.
Was this aid? Is the formula meant to bring back the lost support for the president?
No. The
there
president
a
has
lost-
the
is there a lost
president.
support?
That is why I...
The president has the support
Okay.
of the region 100%. By that I mean the moment the President Uhuru Kenyatta will move to my county, Muranga, you will see the masses coming out and saying, Mr. President. Number 2, the moment he will walk with that, we will drive with that rail from Nairobi or from Thika to Nanyuki, the people who will be waiting for him, that is when now you will know these people who are championing the name of William Ruto in Central Province or in Mount Kenya region won't be. And to finish, let me make my
want to
point.
say something there.
Let me make my point.
Everybody wants to
There
say
is a-
something.
I want to say something
Everybody
there.
wants to say something. Wind up. Come on.
As I wind up, I'm going to tell, because I'm going to answer someone called Kithure Kindiki, the senator for Tharaka Nithi. you took an issue with this country and you said
Can I give you that as your closing remark?
that is
I will
my
give
this
you-
is
no,
this
I will
is
give you
no
because we
why
have
you
not
interact
worked out. I will give you
this
as
is
a
my this
closing
is my this is my this
because
is
I
my
asked a
final-
direct
just a
question.
minute.
You've
and you
given
have
me a
answered the
chance.
question.
You've given me a
You have
chance.
answered the
JJ, you've
question.
given me a chance.
Because
No,
of
no,
the
no.
remarks you're making,
No,
you make them as you
no.
close.
No,
You
that
have
is
to
not
close.
my that is not my
I'm
closing
sorry, I'm
comment.
saying just a minute. I'm saying this, if these are the people who are advising Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, that's why he is naked.
Now,
Just a minute.
without making my
No, no,
point,
no, no,
you've
no,
given
no.
me my
Hold on
point.
a minute.
Why can't I make my
Just
point,
a minute.
JJ?
Just
I will
a
give
minute.
you as a closing
Just a
remark.
minute.
I
Just a
asked your
minute.
question and you responded, and I'm satisfied.
So now,
Just a minute.
listen to what he
Allow me
says.
make my point.
Okay, make your point, but don't make reference to me
I'm
because you
saying-
have a point before I
I'm
talk.
saying, let us be honest and objective. The reason why maybe Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta feels that the ground is not on his side.
He doesn't feel.
No.
Who doesn't
Just a
feel that
minute.
this ground?
It's because
He
of the
doesn't
advices
need
he
that
gets.
ground. You guys keep on
Allow me
saying.
Kamau to make
It
my
is.
point.
It is Uhuru Kenyatta.
Kamau, can
Does
orderly.
no. Uhuru Kenyatta
Be
does not
orderly.
need.
I asked you the
Around-
question. and you
Uhuru Kenyatta does
responded.
not
You
need
already
this your
responded.
ground.
Allow me to make my
No,
point.
Uhuru
Kamau,
Kenyatta,
Kamau,
don't drag
Have some
Uhuru Kenyatta
decorum.
in your ground.
Kamau, have some decorum.
Just
in the
say
program.
something else,
Kamau,
but not Uhuru Kenyatta.
Have
Allow
some
me to make
decorum.
my
I asked
point.
you a question and you responded. You said the president has not lost support.
But don't
He is
say
entitled
about the ground.
to his opinion. So
Okay.
kindly be quiet.
But which should not be
Make your
attached to
points,
me.
Maina Kabuna.
What I'm saying is,
Eh.
Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, if you listen to Kabado on Sunday, I said very categorically and very clearly, he had been misguided for quite some times, right? And if the advisors are like Kamau here, that's why he was getting it wrong. It's true that Uhuru needed the backing of the Central Kenya, and this formula have united the Central Kenya senators as a region. So that is already achieved by the formula.
So you think that is what he wanted to achieve first?
It may not be his intention,
Okay.
but he achieved it indirectly, right?
Okay.
So let's say this, we can't lie that the ground was not on the side of the president.
Okay.
The region was crying. Business-wise, development-wise, they're all crying. We have been left aside.
All right,
back?
and you answered my
Are they
question. I
back?
asked a simple question. Jimmy Kagone, I want to hear your views
Whether
on
the
this.
president is using
Yes,
this
whether the
as a-
president was actually
as a
using this to
strategy.
galvanize supporters.
You know, I don't think so, JJ. And there is a school of thought that's sometimes heard by the minor Kamunyas of this world. That the president is always looking for cheap publicity through this and the other and that kind of a thing. And sometimes I find them even trying to advance the argument, were it not for the deputy president, were it not for the deputy president, the president would not have come through. It is the deputy president who was popular and all that. There is that kind of an argument that I hear them advancing in the Tanga Tanga crew. I mean, if the deputy president was that popular since 2012, why didn't he, by being the president, we support him
Exactly.
for Uhuru Kenyatta to be
Yes.
the deputy president?
Yes.
What exactly happened? You know, because we have also had that kind of an argument, which doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't really add up and all that. By the way, who really needed the support of the other? Because if he was the most popular one, he should have run for the office
And be the
he seeks
president.
for the support,
Yes.
not the other way around.
In fact, it should start with
and
Rift
I
Valley.
think that need to really to be understood very clearly.
So your point is the
So
president
my,
not need this ground.
I don't think even the president was even aware that this is actually going to turn to be a political kind of a thing, so to speak.
All right.
Because if anything, by the way, let me tell you something. While many people are thinking that Central is the one that is gaining a lot, let me tell you, we have 13 counties in Mount Kenya region. Out of those 13 counties, only 7 are gaining.
Sure.
Kisii, Kakamega, Siaya,
And
there are so many others that are gaining elsewhere. So what support is the president looking, if that is the case, then in Kisii, in other places, so to speak. Let's be fair, you know, I've had that kind of an argument and all that. I think the president, what he's trying to do is just to earn a legacy for himself.
Fantastic.
And is doing very well up to that. What we need to do is to assist the minor Kamunyas of this world to erase that more mentality
You are right, Kenyans.
of always cheap popularity, you know, small things and all that.
All right, respond to Kithure Kindiki and the Murkomens. I don't know what you were responding to them about.
Senator Kithure Kindiki, the senator of Tharaka Nithi, you quoted the Bible and equipped Kenya with those days of Akina, those people who made merry. They took cup from the synagogue, and you equipped that the president, the writing is on the wall, and this country is going to burn. I'm going to tell you this one thing. When David was fixed by his son Absalom, and in this time, I will take Absalom and I will compare him with William Ruto. The person who saved David is a grandson of Saul, and his name was Ziba, and he was the son of Mephibosheth. And he brought King David donkeys and food, cakes and some food. And when they met on the way, before he reached the mountain of olives, he asked Ziba, "What is this for?" And Ziba said, "This is for your journey, and this is food for your servants." Because David was chased away by his son Absalom, the way William Ruto is trying to do to
I think we need an offering box here.
yes, or the way William Ruto is trying to do to Uhuru Kenyatta, and a guy called Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga has offered to give President Uhuru Kenyatta food, and this is going to give the end game. So for Kithure Kindiki, Murkomen, and this you're calling Team Kenya, just like it was from the beginning, now it is. That is what's going to happen, and your deeds and your intentions are going to fail by the end of the day. Thank you so much.
Responding to them now.
I've done.
COVID billions. Maina Kamunya.
Stolen and very unfortunate.
Is it? Have they been stolen? Because that's the question that people are asking. Could it be true then that this country has lost billions of money in less than 3 months, when we've been saying numbers are rising, numbers are coming down?
I think from what I heard from the story and the investigation from the NTV,
yes,
I would agree with them. Remember, the CAS Mwangangi had pointed that there could be, right? The CS Mutahi Kagwe at some point said that he knows there are cartels in that Afya ministry. So, and I think from that research and that report, it could be true. But it's very, very unfortunate. And I would call upon the investigative authorities, expedite this process. Make sure that you get down to the bottom of this matter. Because it will be very unfortunate. We are fighting COVID. It's a matter of life and death, and we are stealing. It shows that our society have lost the moral compass. And we don't know who will come and maybe redirect the compass. Because I think everything said and done, Kenyan interest would come first, right? Kenyans population need those donations given to serve their interest for the sake of the country. So I would say that maybe it's time that we wake up, we call government to order, and request Mutahi Kagwe if we cannot be able to explain, because I listened to him yesterday. And there's nothing substantial that he said. All right,
and we will get to the substance of what we said. Jimmy Kangondi, because we have had a conversation with you on a previous platform about something that has been mentioned so many times, and the answer has never been forthcoming. Did Jack Ma donations ever get to the intended people? Because the last time we were checking, they got lost through some dubious clearing farmer JKIA, and now they are being sold to government with hyped prices.
Funny enough, because I saw the names of 2 companies. I think one was Megascope, and the other one that was mentioned that were used to create the Jack Ma's cargo that arrived. What I really don't know, by the way, and maybe we really need to discuss some of these things very, very seriously, because I think the direction we are taking as a country is a very, very, very dangerous
one.
Extremely dangerous.
Yes. But I need to say 2 things.
Okay.
We need to separate when curious stews and when Taifa dialogue is also going wrong. Because I find like we really don't want to point who are the real thieves. We just want to call the government and say that the government has stolen.
Okay.
We really need to point exactly who have stolen. Because when we are talking about clearing, that clearing was done specifically by an agent who is known. It was cleared by somebody who can be named. It was not just a big name saying the government this, the government the other. I felt like there is a small confusion. And by the way, when you approach any fight in such generalities, most of the time you don't get to the bottom of the matter. This country is headed to know exactly who stole what, because it is easier to trace them, and possibly this should serve as a lesson to many others. We should at least pass the harshest sentence to specific people who are going to be caught up in this.
All right.
Yes.
All right. And you make a fair point. Maybe we should ask Kamau, owing to the stance you've taken here, do you believe the money was stolen?
The money, maybe it was stolen, maybe it was not stolen. I am not, I don't work in KEMSA.
Come on.
Let me say, because what the Minister of Cabinet Secretary for Health said, the money released is 1 point something billion. And the guy who brought this issue, called Okari, Dennis, said it was 43 billion. Priv to that, the COVID-19 procurement in KEMSA, Aga Khan Hospital, its tender was cancelled by KEMSA because it had hiked up the prices for supply to KEMSA. Other vendors came and said, we can do this with this, then that. When you connect Aga Khan Hospital and NTV, they have a relationship. Both of them are owned by the same person. Again, we have KEMSA, we have NHIF, we have PPB, we have NQCL, and these are the ones and others who are mandated in the Ministry of Health to manage the health sector in this country. There has been a fight between PPB and NQCL. When Cabinet Mutahi Kagwe came in, he said the board that manages PPB is very discriminative. It is not inclusive because the board, except the way they had listed it is that all board members must be pharmacists. So there was no checks and balances, and he put it a check on it and said, "I'm not going to work with this kind of a board." Yesterday or the day before yesterday, he said it is good that NTV has brought up this issue of money being stolen in my ministry. Now you can see the magnitude of the things we are trying to talk to you and tell you there are people here who their mandate is to finish you Kenyans. What do I mean? There are people who, when they go to do business with the government, they do it genuinely, just like what Kagoni has said. Let's separate issues. I don't want to mention anyone's company, but I can say this. There are people who are doing good. They have done that diligently, and it's their passion, okay? There are people who are there as cartels to cartel these other people to even mudsling their companies, not to benefit.
You started by saying, Kamau, in communication, I'm taught, listen to what is not said and what is said.
All right.
And you started with saying, I don't know whether the money was stolen or not.
Yes.
Then you went direct for a journalist's jugular and the company he works for.
Yes.
Are you saying then that the money is not stolen? That is what you believe?
The money, because I don't have the audit report. The money could have been stolen, and that is why the Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe said we are looking into these things. And this is what I've been telling you. There are people in this particular building who their idea and their waking up and sleeping is to steal money from the government.
Do you know Jack Ma's donations were stolen?
I don't have the trail of how Jack Ma's items got here. I don't work in the Ministry of Health.
Do you know the DCI is investigating the loss of Jack Ma's cargo?
There could be. Let me tell you, that's why I want to not put myself as this DCI. There could be investigating, and we can be kind and patient Kenyans to wait for the report.
I just wanted to get a direct answer from you, because you're saying it could be stolen, could not be stolen, and I'm confirming to you that the DCI is investigating.
So you've
the loss.
Are you confirming to me that the DCI is
actually investigating the loss of
Correct.
Jack Ma's
If
car?
they investigate thing from Jack Ma, I should be taken to jail.
Mutahi Kagwe's response to the health committee yesterday. Kamunya, I know you have a lot to say about what Kamau has said, but the minister was simply saying, my work is to appropriate the money. The accountancy, you should ask Treasury about how the money was spent.
I think I have not come out to be a very, very good historian, but today is disappointing me so much. So much. You remember when CS Matiang'i came into the Ministry of Education?
Yes.
There's all this about steering elections or KCP
Examinations.
Examinations, eh?
Yes.
And I remember when he got there, he made a declaration and he said that he gonna make sure that the secretariat in that ministry, he gonna change everything. And he did that. And in the first year in office, he was able to administer credible results, right? Did he came from us? No, he was just with us. So what Mutahi Kagwe did yesterday was just PR. right? He does not want to take responsibility of what happened in the ministry. Remember the case of Waiguru. The same scenario of what Mutahi was saying, the same Waiguru was telling us. I'm just an officer there, ask the PS.
I blew the whistle.
Yeah, I blew the whistle, ask the PS.
Yes.
But who is mandated with the responsibility to ensure that public money does not get lost in a ministry? Is it? The CS. So if you can't be able to explain to us, if you can't be able to take the responsibility, then you should do the honorable thing. Resign. There are so many Kenyans.
So you're saying Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe should resign?
Exactly.
For what reason?
Come on, where do you live in Kenya, right?
Proven to have been stolen, Mutahi Kagwe should resign.
He should resign.
Mutahi Kagwe has been saying, in this particular building, there are cartels. And when he came in, and he's not a doctor, and he has not worked in the Ministry of Health earlier, he's doing his best. He has given you people in the media
Let me finish my
time
point.
to go and ask him questions to know what is
Dust
happening.
off your point.
Let me make my point.
Yes.
I'm not a thief, but I know those tactics. What you do, what Mutahi Kagwe was doing, is taking diversionary tactics. You point fingers to others as you are trying to hide the evidence, right? He's just saying that, you know what, they are still, in that office, there are still cartels there. Wanatuambia si wanajitufanya nini? You are the government. So
And why are we talking about it? Tufanya nini?
Just a minute. I'm a reader, that's why I'm telling Kenya, so that they don't become brainwashed with what Mutahi was saying.
But we're
yesterday.
discussing about the Senate.
What Mutahi said yesterday was just bullshit, nothing substantial. And what should have happened?
Careful about some of the words you're using. Very
So
careful.
what should have happened? Explain to us. You know there are cartels there. Then what do? Approach the investigating authorities. Tell them, lodge your case there. Then they carry on their mandate.
And maybe I will take it back to Kamau later to ask what is it we call cartels. But Jimmy Kagoni, May 1st, during the Labor Day celebrations at State House, the president said, stop asking about this money. Once COVID is done, everybody shall account for every single cent spent through COVID. But that was the theft then. Later, we are seeing even more blatant theft about this COVID resources. And the question should be, should we wait until COVID is done? In fact, we don't even know when this COVID goes. But should we insist that the president gives us answers on who exactly is eating the COVID resources?
No, I think what the president was responding to on May 1st was a totally different thing. Because what had happened was actually some audited accounts that had leaked. And people had seen like snacks have been taken, tea has been taken, and people were wondering whether you can really take tea worth.
It was an allegation of theft.
It was a kind of an allegation.
And this too is an allegation of theft.
No, this one is not an allegation. Let me tell you, JJ. We are talking of equipments that nobody can actually account for where exactly they really went. That is actually the difference. You know, that one was actually the ministry that was acknowledging, yes, we have spent this amount of money to do ABCD, and they were trying to make some explanations, and the public was feeling like the explanations were not really adding up at that time. And I feel like the president, being the head of government, he was coming to say, look guys, we can always lay this bare for anybody to see and to come and to scrutinize. But then you make a very valid point that need to be supported. What happens now when you discover actually there is theft that is going on? Do you allow the theft to carry on until then when you carry out the audit? I feel a serious intervention needs to be made here and now without even waiting, here and now. Because the numbers are rising every day. So the consumptions of the non-pharmaceuticals and medicines and other related equipment are going high every day. So if that is the case, and by now, by the way, the COVID-19 finances, we are talking about supporting 300 capacity beds almost in every county. So definitely the expenses are going up. We can't really wait until then when the COVID is over. By then, we are not even sure exactly what time it will be over. It might be a case that we need to live with and manage. So in that regard then, somebody needs to get down to work right away. In fact, we should be asking the EACC, the intelligence, because how is a journalist able to uncover such kind of information when we have NIS in this country, when we have EACC in this country, when we have the DCI in this country? How comes that you are relying on a piece of work that was done by a journalist who doesn't have even the technical support? the technical skills, the technical knowledge to actually unearth that kind of information.
Kamau appears to direct this to a conflict of interest between the media house and I don't know what.
No.
Yes.
No, well, I heard him say so and all that. Well, it's quite a difficult work to defend the government in such a time. I feel Kamau where he's coming from. But the point I'm trying to make is, I mean, and maybe the NIS need to be questioned because we pay them a lot of money. And most of the time, it's quite unaccountable because you don't really want to get into the intelligence services, whatever, and all that. But how is a journalist able to unearth that kind of information? Inaccurate or accurate? How is a journalist able to get to the depth of such matters when we have the intelligence in this country that the much they are able to do is to know whether Cleopas Marala has slept in Kitengera or in Mumias? Surely.
Just
We
to
will
respond.
not, hold on, Kamau, because I want to ask you a direct question because listening to you, money may be stolen, money may not be stolen. But let's talk about procedure, even before we think money is stolen. And I understand I don't have a lot of time because we need to wind up. When you have a company that was registered 3 months ago, it doesn't have any financial records, nothing. And then when you investigate, it is actually linked to a person close to power, benefiting with over 120 million. What kind of theft then are we looking for if that is not theft, if that is not corruption in itself?
JJ, Kagoni seemed to know who are the investigators. Let me tell you, what was reported by NTV was just a report. And the company they are talking about, we are not investigating officers. And what we are, we cannot be. What we are not, we cannot be. That's my point. What I'm saying is this. The guy who was put there as the Dr. Ogutu, I don't know who. It has been pendled that he has been a KRA officer and all this manner of things. So the report that was agreed that will be aired on NTV to make us feel that our money has been stolen, we don't have the evidence of it because it was one-sided kind of a story. Number two, on the issue of the company that is working and whatever, the reason why you register a company, and I'm not taking brief on anyone, if I register a company today and I want it complete by tomorrow, it's because I want to go to work with it next day. So what is wrong with that? Because let me tell you, when you register a company, let me tell you. Your procedures, that's where I'm coming at.
Yes.
Procedures is to say, if I register this company today, I have to demonstrate my capacity through an undertaking that I'm able to do this kind of work.
For a government tender to be given to a company, there are clear procedures.
Come again.
Come again.
Because what you're doing is confusing us.
Yes.
Before a tender is given to a company,
Yes.
it must show existence first, 1 year before being granted the existence of that company. And there also must be financials. And I'm asking
JJ,
hold on a minute.
JJ.
A company that is registered 3 months ago,
JJ,
by whatever miracle, is not eligible for a government tender.
you've been in media industry for some time.
Yes.
There are some things that are called youth, women, and disability.
This was not under AGPO.
Wait. The company you're talking about, if I am privy to the information that you're saying, it is on youthful registration, which does not require in the procedures, man. It does not require.
This tender was not floated under AGPO. But I know you're referring to AGPO.
Yes.
This was not floated under
It was an open. If minor, a youth tying in for a tender, and he's not required to show financial masses, can you deny him a tender because he's a youth? Tell me, you've been in media for some time.
What? Ask that question again.
If minor, because he's below 35, applies for a AGPOL certificate, gets a company because he wants to supply goods in, let's say, KEMSA, because he has seen the source, and he applies through the procedures, and in AGPO you don't ask him for the 3 year, 4 years financial status. All you need, and what was happening in KEMSA is that demonstrate ability of goods. Are they there? They are inspected, and you return
I think you're demonstrating a lot of cheekiness in terms of responding to that question.
Can I finish?
Because a tender that is not floated under AGPO.
You don't understand,
3 months
JJ, as you ask, you don't understand the procedures
of
of procurement when it comes to youth, women, and disability.
You know, we have a Procurement and Disposal Act 2015 and the regulations that have been upgraded. And the nature of the tender we are even talking about, I mean, there is no way that it would have actually gone to the capacities of the young people
Young
and the
people,
women
exactly.
and the special interest group. That's for sure. And I mean, it shows clearly that there was a serious conspiracy for somebody to root and to create a conduit for eating government money.
But
That's
when you
what-
talk about
that's-
KEMSA,
that's
just
what-
know how the procedure of COVID-19 emergency procedures in tenders was done.
You
Just
see-
1 minute,
Let's
Kagoni.
come out-
The way
let's-
it was
let's
done.
come- Kagoni
Let me
finish
finish
his
for him
point.
so that he
Let's
go,
Kagoni
I
finish
don't
it.
want him to
I don't know
put
how you finish a point
information.
for Kagoni.
Just 1
Let him
minute.
make his point and then you.
The way
Go
KEMSA
ahead, Kagoni.
structured this thing, it was if you demonstrate you have all these items and we need them, and the KEMSA guys come inspect and see you have NK95 masks of around 1 million masks, and they identify the item, they would write you an LPO or an ticking to sell to it.
let me help Kamau.
Don't put that regulation of
let me help
procedures.
Kamau.
Every one of you is helping the other.
Let me help Kamau.
Help me.
Help each other.
What was new? What was new was the COVID, was the virus. It wasn't the tenderpreneurs.
But
I think we need to differentiate that.
There was
The
six months.
tenderpreneurs
you
are
have
people
not
who
read
deal
and
with a
understood
specific
what the
sector.
KEMSA regulation on COVID-19 was.
The tenderpreneurs have been existing as long as. Okay, what was new was coronavirus. Today we discovered a new virus. We are not saying that we need new tenderpreneurs. We are only asking, do you deal with a particular A, B, C, D? And the challenge and the question you are asking here is that how do you register a company in 3 months? And then only within 3 months, the company is pre-qualified, it undergoes all the levels of approval, and then it is qualified to actually tender for such a magnitude kind of supply.
And that is where all
that
of
was
you are
supposed to
missing
do
the
so.
point.
You see, what Kamau might not know is that K95 and the mask we are wearing, they are not new. It's only that we were not using them in the magnitude because there was no COVID-19.
What you need to say is the procedure that was given to KEMSA to work on this particular season.
What the company, and this is the challenge of trying to help somebody, what the company was not, what that company was still making mask even before the virus was there, because the PPE and the mask and all that, they are not just used for the virus. They are used for many other things.
Yes.
People wear PPE for many other things.
That's why
what
you are
Kamau need to
misinformed.
understand. And so
But you
when
are
you need a
informed-
PPE,
misinformed of the
when
procedures that was
when
for
you need a
COVID-19
PPE, you know the challenge
on how
with
to obtain these
Kamau.
goods.
You know the challenge with the Kamau is because he is thinking, because now his village has a new school, he is thinking that the books are discovered then. People have been reading before. It's only
But
that
you
the
guys
school
are
has
not
come to a
understanding the
village right
procedures
away.
that KEMSA used
That's
to
the
get
challenge.
this equipment.
That's the challenge.
Nini.
That's the challenge, and that's what you need to understand. So there is no way the company for 3 months would have been pre-qualified or of a
There was
sudden-
no pre-qualification.
It
Why
was-
you
it was a
misinforming?
Kamau has been
insisting.
You
and
misinforming
all that-
Kenyans. JJ, let me answer Kagoni.
I want to give
For
it,
one
I want to give
test.
it to you direct because
Yes.
you've been insisting that Kagoni is missing the point. I am missing
You
the
were
point.
missing it.
Maina Kamunya is missing the point. I want to give you the last minute to get
To make the
point.
point.
Because
My
the
point
rest of
is
us are
this,
missing.
JJ. When COVID-19 got into this particular setting of our country, KEMSA was mandated to acquire equipments and protectives from Kenyans.
Locally.
Number one. Number two, there was instruction, and I want you to go and check the information that are there. For you to give any person in regard to COVID-19 LPO, just make sure the goods are here, inspect those goods, and then you give them the undertaking of the LPO to supply after you've seen the physical goods. That was the regulation that was put. These companies you are talking about, maybe they brought in their staff, they were inspected. Why would you deny them a chance to sell? And whatever Kagoni is trying to take me on schools and regulation and what procurement status were put, it was not applying into this particular one. Because one, we had not understood what COVID-19 is. And we did want to have the crisis of having no beds, having no ventilators, having no mask into our health sector.
Okay.
That's my point.
Is that your point?
Yes.
Fantastic. Maina Kamunya, do you have a point to make?
I think Kamau is just ignorant of some facts, but despite what happens, the law still stands. The Procurement Act was still there, and maybe could be just a waiver, but not that.
Yes,
You
call
could-
it a waiver. Don't
It's
dwell.
it's okay, but
And-
you can't
and
register
discriminate
a company.
people.
Just a minute. You can't register a company within 3 months and you are given such a huge tender. It's not possible. It just tells us there was intention to root and to steal public funds. And lastly, what I would say is that
Okay.
I would request the Senate.
Don't go back to the Senate.
No, I'm giving my parting shot, Kamau. Allow me to make my point.
Make your point.
So what I'm saying is this: let us remain united. Let us request our readers that make sure that you agree on this formula. The counties are waiting for the money. They have families, and there are people who are suffering because of they don't have money and salaries.
All right.
Yeah.
What else, Jimmy Kagoni, has been available, but Kamau thinks it was available yesterday?
Many things.
Very quickly, make your last point so we wind up.
The issue is whether the company was registered 3 months before time, whatever. We expected the company to do a good job. Maybe the discussion we'll be having is, did the company deliver what was supposed to be delivered even after it was allowed to do the job after just being registered within three months? The answer to it is no, because the challenge we are in is because somebody did not do what they are supposed to do. I find like these are the people the government and the president is trying so hard to fight every day, trying to see how we curtail the opportunist people, the cartels we are talking about, the corrupt guys who are used to this system, who take advantage of crisis anytime that it comes up and all that. And time has come, and it's important to say this, that we all join in this fight. Dennis Okari has done his bit.
Sure.
He has tried to whistleblow what he knows. Can somebody else try to do the same? Can we hear many other Kenyans who are coming out to really say that I'm also aware that ABCD was not really delivered to the quality and to the standards that were actually required? Because the challenge we have in Kenya, and I find like that was actually the proposal that was being made in the BBI, is to ensure that we can actually make whistleblowing a job.
Sure.
It's in the BBI, actually.
Yes.
It's actually in BBI.
Yes.
Whistleblowing should actually become a job, so that at least we see how we assist also the agencies that are there and the president and all that to curtail the monster.
All right.
Yes,
Thank you very much,
I want
everybody,
to
for-
make my parting shot. You didn't give me the parting shot.
Jesus
Just 1
Christ.
minute. Because we are talking about health sector, and our CS minister, CS Mutahi Kagwe, has done a good job. As much we discuss their theft here and there, he has managed that sector in this particular critical time very well. Number two, because now we are in health, we are knowing what is happening. There was a bill that was made, 2018-2019 health bill, which touched on the PPB, Pharmacy and Poison Board, a National Quality Control Laboratory issue. And in it, whoever is holding the NQCL and PPB, going back to KEMSA, is that if we allow Pharmacy and Poison Board to test, give GMP, which is good manufacturing practice, and also give license to medical coming to Kenya, that particular thing is going to hurt Kenya in medical factor. By that I mean, if Pharmacy and Poison Board tests and give license to the medical facility without the government check, Kenyans are going to eat on chalks.
Okay. Thank you very much for your feedback. We're coming to you live again from the Lilies Hotel. These are the Taifa Dialogue studios. I can always tell you, every shade of opinion is welcome. And like you've seen, they are here. Every opinion, every shade of it, in plenty. Thank you very much, Jimmy Kagoni. Thank you very much, Maina Kamunya. And thank you, Kamau Wakamau, again for gracing our studios. And thank you also for your feedback. We appreciate really very much for the good job. And our team, the digital team, led by Wamalo and Kahindi, and of course, our producer, Mwagi Boga, and the rest of the team. Thank you very much. God bless you. See you Friday. Have a fantastic Tuesday evening.